Hey you guys, and welcome back to my channel. Until I can get someone to either make me a nice intro or I make one myself, we're just going to always have to jump straight into the video. Today's install will be a glueless frontal sew-in and just a little bit of a bob cut. So first, we're just going to part out right behind that hairline, and we're just going to be taking our tweezers with the pointed part facing away from the hairline, and we're just going to pluck in a backwards motion. And as you guys can see, I'm just going all up and down. I don't want to stay in one spot for too long because that is how you can make bald spots. And afterwards, we're just going to comb that hair back, and we're just going to go in just a little bit from the front of the hairline to make sure everything is really nice and natural. So this should be the finished result after you go in and pluck. It's just something really soft and natural, not too thick and not too thin. So I'm going to take my lace tint from the Wig Gurus. I used Caramel Frappe and Pure Beige, and I just mixed these two up, and I just sprayed them on the underside of the lace. So after that, you guys can see we do have a great match. However, I do go in with a little bit of makeup because closer to her hairline, her skin is just a bit darker. So now we're just going to be taking an elastic band, and I'm just measuring from ear to ear to see how long I should cut this. And afterwards, I'm going to sew it here on this end and on this end of the frontal. I'm just going to hand sew that off camera, and as you guys can see, we're just now laying that down right on her head to make sure everything is really flush and tight. So I did watercolor these bundles off camera, so if you guys want to see how I watercolor hair, I'll definitely leave a link to that video right above. And I don't think many people need an actual video from me on how I sew on my tracks. I don't do anything spectacular. I do pretty basic sewing back and forth. Only thing I can say is at the end of the weft, when I'm going to flip over, because I do the fold over method, I like to go through the weft just to make sure everything at that point is very flat. There should be numerous videos on YouTube on how to sew in tracks. And now, same thing, I'm just going to be going across the back of this frontal and just sewing everything down. And I'm just going to give that frontal a little tug afterwards just to show you guys that everything is very tight and flat, and I'll do the same with the bundles. So once you make your way up the back of that head, you're just going to sew that last bundle straight across the back of the frontal, and just make sure everything is really nice and flat, and make sure you take your time with this because I used to definitely sew this part too fast, and in fact when I would have installs that were glued down, I could sometimes pull the lace back by sewing too fast. I'm just going to be taking my Silk Remedy, and I'm just going to run this through the hair, and I'll take my blow dryer afterwards just to blow this out because it did have a little bit of wave from when I watercolored the hair. So you want to part out right along that ear, and I'm just going to take my scissors and cut off the excess lace. And as you guys can see, the placement of this band is right behind the ear. You want to make sure that this is a comfortable placement for your client because they're going to have to wear this install, and you don't want that to be too irritating for them. And this is just the same method that I always do. I just take my eyebrow razor and I just cut right along down the lace from the middle. So as you guys can see now, nothing is glued down. However, the lace is still visible. Like I said, closer to her hairline. Her skin is a little bit darker, which I did realize. So you'll see me go in soon with some makeup. And if you watched my video on me installing a dark lace on myself, you would know that I like to use cream whenever I'm bringing down the lace, and powder whenever I'm trying to make the lace a bit lighter. So I'm just going to be taking a fluffy brush, and I'm just going to be going right along that hairline, and as you guys can see, it's starting to disappear. So now I'm just going to be taking my clippers, and I'm just going to go right along the middle back of her head just to start off where I want that bob, and I'm just going to use that as a guide to where to cut the rest of the hair. I'm going in with some shears just to clean up the cut, and afterwards I'm going to go in, flat iron the install, and cut it even more because I like for myself to be very particular. And like I said, I am not the best with cutting bobs, but however, I do like to have a nice finished product. So I'm sorry you guys that the video kept focusing on my arm and blurring out at points. I definitely didn't realize that until I got all of my videos into iMovie and started editing. But yes, now you see me after I went in and flat iron, and I'm just cutting up everything to make it a bit more precise. And we ended up doing a bob that was asymmetrical, one side shorter and one side longer. So now I'll be using my wax stick from Edge Booster, and I'm just going to be putting that along her part, and I'll go in after with my hot comb just to make everything up there really nice and flat as possible. Now again, you're going to see me go in with that eyebrow razor, and we're just cutting those baby hairs down. I initially did not want to do any baby hairs for this install, but she insisted on it. So first I go in with my Nairobi styling foam and just make sure I have the right shape and everything I want of that baby hair, and then I'll go back in with some Got2b gel and some Got2b spray just to keep those baby hairs in place. So this is the finished product. I was very happy with the way that this install came out, regardless of the fact that she was getting her hair done at 3 a.m. This is one of my good friends, and as you guys can see, this install is glueless. And this was a pretty simple install, pretty easy steps to follow. You literally would just use the elastic band and sew it behind the ear to make sure you have everything nice and flat. I believe some people go in afterwards and cut out their elastic band, but I leave my elastic band in, and I do not sew on the elastic band so that when it is time to replace it, I can easily just remove it. Thank you guys so much for tuning into today's video, and if you guys have anything you want to see me do, as always, definitely leave a comment down below. I'm open to suggestions, and if you enjoyed this video, please definitely leave a like, and if not already subscribed, please subscribe. I am at 5K subscribers. I am so happy to be here creating content that you guys are actually responding to and liking. So I am so happy and grateful for my 5K subscribers, and definitely join the family if you aren't already subscribed. Thank you guys so much, and see you in next week's video. Period.